Imagine crystal skulls, intricately carved from a single piece of quartz, that captivate with their flawless polish and anatomical precision. These extraordinary artifacts, discovered in Central America, possess a unique ability to refract light, creating mesmerizing color games that enchant anyone who gazes upon them. Their cold surface seems to radiate warmth, while light passing through the transparent material creates an effect of mystical luminescence. Each of these skulls has distinctive features: hollow eye sockets that appear to watch you, evoking a sense of presence, as if they harbor ancient secrets. But that's not all. There are conflicting theories about their origin, which challenge their true nature. Some researchers believe these skulls are ancient artifacts with mystical properties, capable of healing and even predicting the future. Others insist they are skillful 19th-century forgeries, created to attract tourists and researchers. These debates have been ongoing for several decades. Some attribute magical powers to the skulls, while others see in them only the exceptional craftsmanship of jewelers, capable of working stone with such precision that it seems almost impossible to modern technology. It is intriguing that the study of one such skull, known as the crystal skull, revealed that its creation required over 100 hours of work and was completed with such precision that some details remain a mystery to scientists. Furthermore, the temperature of these skulls does not change even with prolonged contact with skin. They remain cold to the touch, adding to the atmosphere of mystery. This makes them not only aesthetically interesting, but also creates a sense that they may contain ancient knowledge and wisdom. And the most astonishing thing? According to one theory, these skulls could be connected to other civilizations that left behind only riddles and myths. Imagine standing on the lifeless surface of a desert, where mysterious lines are hidden beneath the scorching sun, visible only from above. These are the lines of Nazca, geoglyphs created by ancient civilizations that are astonishing in their size and precision. Some of them stretch up to 370 meters in length. These images, depicting animals, plants, and geometric figures, have remained remarkably well preserved over centuries, despite the harsh desert conditions. How is this possible? The answer lies in the fact that beneath the top layer of sand, there is a lighter soil that is not subject to erosion, allowing the outlines of the drawings to remain clear and distinct. But why did ancient people create these giant works of art? There are many theories. Some scientists believe that the lines served as a calendar, helping to track solar and lunar cycles, while others suggest they could have been maps indicating water sources or ritual paths leading to sacred places. And here's where it gets truly fascinating. Some even propose that these images were messages to gods, intended to appease the forces of nature. Picture this. Against the backdrop of a desolate landscape, where only sand rustles beneath your feet, these elegant and refined forms rise, seemingly speaking of something greater than mere survival. The lines of Nazca are not only physically immense, but also contain numerous mysteries that may never be solved. How did ancient people create such precise drawings using only simple tools? Consider this. The scale of these images is so great that they cannot be fully seen from the ground. And what's even more astonishing, some of them appear as real creatures, such as hummingbirds or monkeys, which may have once existed in this region. Few people ponder the fact that ancient Romans developed concrete that not only endured centuries, but also grew stronger with each passing year. This remarkable building material contained volcanic ash, which gave it unique properties, allowing it to harden even underwater. Thanks to this, Roman engineers constructed monumental structures, many of which continue to impress us today. Imagine aqueducts stretching for dozens of kilometers, not only delivering fresh water to cities, but also creating a captivating sound as water gurgled and flowed through stone channels framed by majestic arches. One of the most famous aqueducts, the Segovia Aqueduct, reaches a height of 38 meters and consists of more than 12,000 stone blocks, joined without any mortar, only through perfect fitting. But that's not all. Roman baths, massive public baths, were true engineering marvels. They not only provided citizens with hot and cold water, but also created a cool atmosphere even in the hottest weather through a complex heating and ventilation system. When you enter such baths, You feel the coolness envelop you, and the sound of dripping water creates a relaxing atmosphere. Don't forget about Roman roads, built with such precision that some of them are still in use today, 2,000 years later. These roads, paved with smooth stones, were not just paths for travel, but true arteries connecting a vast empire. Under your fingers, you can feel the polished surface, which has withstood the weight of chariots and pedestrians for centuries. And now, considering all these incredible achievements, do you know that Romans used sophisticated drainage systems to prevent flooding in cities? These technologies were so effective that even during heavy rains, streets remained dry, and sewage was channeled into special drains. Roman engineers created many other amazing structures that transformed cities and people's lives. For example, the Colosseum, capable of seating up to 50,000 spectators, became a symbol of architectural genius, and its structures are still studied by modern architects today. Every detail of these buildings is imbued with history and technological progress that continues to amaze even today. Amazingly, ancient civilizations possessed astronomical knowledge that even today's scientists find astonishing. For instance, the Maya calculated the length of the solar year with an accuracy of 20 seconds. Imagine the night sky, studded with stars, as astronomers of these ancient cultures conducted their observations from the heights of temples, their gazes directed towards the boundless expanse. The Babylonians, who lived thousands of years ago, predicted lunar eclipses using complex mathematical calculations and observations of celestial bodies, allowing them to accurately determine the lunar cycles. Their tablets, preserved to this day, are a testament to their deep understanding of celestial mechanics. Meanwhile, the builders of Newgrange in Ireland created a structure that was illuminated by the sun only on the day of the winter solstice. Picture the rays of light piercing through stone blocks, creating an unforgettable atmosphere on this magical day. But that's not all. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient device found on the seabed near the Greek island of Antikythera, was used to calculate the movements of celestial bodies. Scientists continue to study it, trying to unravel the mystery of its construction and precision. This mechanism not only showed the positions of planets, but also predicted solar and lunar eclipses, which was simply incredible for its time. In the silence of temple observatories, where astronomers and priests watched the sky, there was an atmosphere of reverent anticipation. Their respect for celestial phenomena was so great that every flash of light, every movement of the stars was perceived as a message from the gods. And what's even more astonishing? These knowledge allowed them not only to predict natural phenomena, but also to plan agricultural activities based on the cycles of the moon and the sun. On Easter Island, renowned for its enigmatic moai, standing up to 10 meters tall and weighing up to 80 tons, there are numerous monumental statues, as if guarding ancient secrets. These giants, with distinctive features such as long noses, massive chins, and expressive eyes, gaze towards the ocean, giving the impression that they await something important. Arranged along the coast, they form a spiritual ring, protecting this isolated territory surrounded by the vast waters of the Pacific Ocean. The mystery of their transportation remains unsolved. How could such heavy and cumbersome statues be moved from distant quarries over distances of up to 10 kilometers? One popular theory suggests the use of logs as rollers. But this is not all. There is a hypothesis that the statues walked due to rocking, creating a fascinating image of stone giants coming to life during their journey. Imagine the sound of ocean waves crashing against the shore, and the wind whispering between the stone faces, smoothing out their harsh features. This atmosphere of isolation and mystery envelops the entire island, making one ponder what secrets these massive statues hold. It is interesting to note that recent research indicates that many moai were painted in bright colors, making them even more imposing. Additionally, some statues have special bases that could have served to stabilize them. But there is more. The island preserves remnants of ancient quarries where these stone colossi were carved, and in some places, they can be seen half buried in the ground, as if frozen in anticipation. Furthermore, in the 20th century, an attempt was made to restore some of the statues, which allowed scientists to study the methods of their creation and transportation. Each discovery adds another page to the mysterious history of this unique place, and we still do not know what truly happened on this remote island. Have you ever thought about what it is like to stand next to such a monument that has withstood centuries and still guards its secrets? Ancient Mayan cities, once teeming with life and culture, suddenly emptied, leaving this mystery to haunt researchers for centuries. Imagine the rustling of leaves enveloping abandoned temples, where the sounds of wild animals like jaguars and monkeys filled the void as people left their magnificent palaces. Between the 8th and 9th centuries AD, entire cities such as Tikal and Calakmul became ghosts of their former glory. But what caused the Maya to abandon all this? One of the most discussed theories involves drought. Studies show that climate changes led to a sharp reduction in rainfall. The level of rainfall dropped by as much as 25%. This was a catastrophe for agriculture, which was the foundation of their economy. Picture irrigation channels, once full of water, dried up, leaving fields barren. But this was not the only cause. Researchers also point to resource depletion. Forests, which provided wood for construction and fuel, were cleared, leading to the deterioration of the ecosystem. The sounds of axes felling trees were replaced by silence, as wild animals began to inhabit the abandoned areas. Epidemics are another shocking cause. Scientists believe that diseases, possibly brought by migrants or even domestic animals, could have taken the lives of thousands. How do you think people felt when their neighbors vanished, leaving only shadows? To this were added wars and social unrest, which seemed to tear society apart from within. Conflicts over resources, food, and power turned cities into battlefields rather than places of prosperity. At that time, bustling markets and joyful festivals were replaced by confusion and fear. Look at the ruins where life once thrived. Powerful temples, covered in moss, stand in silence, as if guarding secrets they will never reveal. And what is even more shocking? Studies show that, despite these catastrophes, some small groups of Maya survived and continued their culture, but in a completely different form. Pumapunku is a place that instantly makes your heart race faster. Imagine stone blocks, weighing up to 800 tons, placed so close together that not even the thinnest blade of a knife can fit between them. These blocks, made of hard materials like andesite and granite, were crafted with such precision that they appear as if they were made using modern technology. Have you ever wondered how such massive stones could be not only quarried, but also perfectly fitted together with right angles and no gaps? Now imagine that this extraordinary structure has no written evidence explaining who built it or how. Remarkably, even modern tools struggle to work with such hard stone. The air at Pumapunku is filled with a unique atmosphere. The thin mountain air fills your lungs, and the silence around you gives the feeling that time has stopped. Have you ever felt how ancient ruins can whisper their secrets? The intricate carvings and perfectly smooth surfaces of the blocks contrast with the rough nature surrounding this place. Metal clamps found between the massive stones are evidence that they were once connected. But who was the master capable of such artistry? For centuries, myths and legends have circulated around this site, but none could explain this wonder. Scholars are baffled by the mystery, but each new discovery only adds more questions. What drove an ancient civilization to create such incredible structures? Standing among these remnants, you feel as if you are on the brink of a discovery that could change our understanding of history. And did you know that even now, after thousands of years, the technologies that could have been used to create such structures remain a mystery? In the jungles of Costa Rica, mysterious stone spheres are hidden, which evoke admiration and numerous questions. Imagine perfect spheres, with diameters ranging from a few centimeters to 2.5 meters, and weighing up to 16 tons. These colossal formations, primarily made of granodiorite, are astonishing in their almost perfect shape, which seems unmatched even by modern standards. But why did ancient people create such spheres? Some scientists suggest that they could have been used as astronomical markers, possibly for tracking the movement of celestial bodies, while others believe that these stone spheres were symbols of status, reflecting the power and influence of their owners. There is also a theory that the spheres served as navigational aids for travelers in the dense tropics, where it was extremely difficult to orient oneself. The arrangement of these spheres is no less intriguing. They are scattered across the territory, forming specific geometric patterns that captivate researchers. The humid air of the tropical forest is filled with the aromas of greenery and damp earth, contrasting with the hard, perfectly round forms of the stones, which stand like guardians of ancient secrets. This contrast between the man-made perfect spheres and the chaotic vegetation of the jungle creates a sense of touching something completely extraordinary and mystical. Picking up one of these spheres, one can feel the cold weight of granodiorite and imagine how many hands worked to create these masterpieces. And the most fascinating thing? Some spheres were even found in places where their arrangement coincides with important astronomical events, such as equinoxes and solstices. These discoveries only fuel the interest in their possible purpose and significance in the culture of ancient Costa Rican inhabitants. Could these spheres have been part of a complex system that connected people with the heavens? In the mountains of China, in isolated caves, granite discs with a diameter of about 30 centimeters were discovered, which have attracted the attention of researchers and enthusiasts of mysteries for many years. These artifacts, known as the dropping stone discs, are adorned with central holes and spiral grooves reminiscent of micro-engraving, giving the impression that they were not created by humans, but by something more enigmatic. The history of their discovery in 1938 by archaeologist Chipute is shrouded in many mysteries and debates. How could such unusual objects end up in remote locations surrounded by high cliffs and dense forests? The discs were found at an altitude of over 2,000 meters above sea level, in conditions where even the most daring researchers would not venture to search for traces of an ancient civilization. Some researchers claim that the spiral patterns could tell the story of a crashed spacecraft, while others believe it to be a hoax created to attract attention. Around these discs, many theories have emerged, from extraterrestrial origin to ancient rituals connected to science and magic. There is something captivating about how these stone artifacts could preserve memories of events that occurred thousands of years ago. How is this possible? The spirals on the discs seem to beckon. But what do they really mean? There is a belief that each groove could be connected to astronomical phenomena known to ancient people, but about which we are only beginning to suspect today. Researchers still cannot agree on how and why these discs were created, making them a subject of endless search and discussion in scientific circles. Some consider them a key link in understanding ancient technologies, while others claim they are clever forgeries created to deceive. Many people who have visited these mysterious places claim to feel a special energy when near the discs, as if touching something that transcends our understanding. And what is most intriguing, these discs do not provide clear answers, only questions that continue to torment the minds of researchers. The patterns themselves may contain information that humanity is not yet ready to decipher, and who knows, perhaps one day these stone discs will reveal their secrets. Did you know what a ziggurat is? These magnificent structures towered towards the heavens, like staircases leading to the cosmos. Some of them reached heights of 90 meters and were built from fired clay bricks, adorned with glazed tiles, giving them an extraordinary appearance. Imagine such a structure, wide steps leading to a platform at the summit, offering a breathtaking view of the entire city. At sunset, the long shadows of the ziggurats stretched across the ground, creating a sense that time itself seemed to pause in this sacred place. But what were these giants built for? There are several theories, each adding new layers to the mystery of their purpose. Some scholars believe that ziggurats served as temples where rituals were held in honor of gods. Others suggest that they could have been astronomical observatories, allowing for the observation of stars and the prediction of seasonal changes. Furthermore, there is a theory that ziggurats could have served as shelters during floods, as their height provided protection from the elements. It is also interesting to note that they may have symbolized the cosmic mountain, connecting the heavens and the earth. Climbing the monumental staircases, one feels as if approaching the sky, while the city below seems small and distant. Each step leaves an impression of grandeur and unity with history. And do you know what is most remarkable? Some of these ziggurats were so immense that their construction required the efforts of thousands of workers over many years, leaving behind not only architectural masterpieces, but also deep imprints on the consciousness of civilization. In the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, mysterious bas-reliefs have been discovered that provoke numerous questions and debates. These images depict elongated objects resembling modern incandescent lamps, with something that can be interpreted as a thread inside, and a connection leading to a source that resembles something that could serve as a source of electricity. But how could ancient Egypt possess such knowledge? Some researchers claim that these bas-reliefs are evidence of the existence of electricity in ancient Egypt, while others see in them only symbolic images, such as the lotus and the rising sun, which represent life and rebirth. These conflicting interpretations only add to the mystery of the temple. But that's not all. In other places throughout Egypt, archaeologists have found gilded artifacts that are believed to have been used for complex chemical processes. For example, preserved paints with amazingly vibrant colors that do not fade even after thousands of years may indicate advanced knowledge in the field of chemistry. Imagine the atmosphere of the temple. The dim light falling on these mysterious bas-reliefs creates a sense that you have touched ancient secrets that have preserved their wisdom for centuries. And you know what's most curious? There is a theory that these images actually depict not lamps, but devices designed for transmitting light and energy, which were lost to us in the course of history. Discoveries like these make us wonder how deep the knowledge of ancient civilizations about the nature of light and energy was, and what other secrets may be hidden beneath the layers of time. Imagine how ancient masters worked with granite, which has a hardness of 7 on the Mohs scale. This stone was not just used for construction, it was transformed into a work of art with perfectly smooth surfaces that still gleam like mirrors today. How was this possible? Researchers suggest that for working with such hard materials as diorite with a hardness of 8 or basalt with a hardness of 6, ancient Egyptians used abrasive materials like sand mixed with water. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. What is even more intriguing? Some scientists propose that sound technologies were used, capable of vibrating the stone to such an extent that it became easier to process. Picture these masters, armed with copper saws, creating perfect right angles that could only be verified with a modern level. Did they feel the characteristic sound the stone made when tapped, as if it were communicating with them? This sound, reminiscent of a bell, could have served as a kind of quality indicator. Have you ever seen granite polished to a mirror finish? The light reflecting off its smooth surface creates such a play of shadows that it seems the stone comes to life. Some of these sculptures and structures have stood for centuries, maintaining their smoothness and beauty despite the test of time. But how did they achieve such precision? Scientists still puzzle over this question. Perhaps they had methods that we are only beginning to understand. In some cases, for example, sarcophagi carved from granite have cylindrical holes with minimal deviation, and their precision is breathtaking. These details make us wonder how advanced the stoneworking technologies were in ancient Egypt, and this is just the tip of the mystery. What else does this ancient civilization hide? It's hard to believe, but the mystery of the construction of the pyramids in Egypt continues to captivate scientists and historians. These colossal structures, reaching heights of up to 146 meters, were built with such precision that the gaps between the stone blocks are less than 1 millimeter. Each block, weighing sometimes over 80 tons, was given an ideal shape and size, which still amazes us today. How did the ancient builders achieve such skill using only primitive tools? It's also astonishing that the pyramids are oriented with such accuracy towards the cardinal directions. The angle of deviation is only 1 second, equivalent to 1/60th of a degree. Now imagine the heat of the desert sun, the sounds of grinding stones, and the heavy breaths of the workers as they lifted and moved these massive blocks. There are various theories about how this was accomplished. Some suggest the use of ramps, others talk about systems of levers, and some even propose that the blocks could have been moved along waterways. The air is filled with the scent of limestone and sweat, mingling with the heat that seems to burn the skin. The shadows cast by the pyramids at sunset create an atmosphere of mystery, making us wonder what other secrets are hidden beneath their majestic forms. But that's not the most puzzling thing. In some of the stones, traces of processing have been found, which, as scientists claim, could not be replicated without modern technologies. How did the ancient Egyptians achieve such precision and skill? And the most incredible thing? One of the blocks found at the base of the Pyramid of Cheops has such complex traces that some researchers suggest they might have used polished tools, of which we are not even aware. Imagine, in the 6th century BC, a group of philosophers, observing the starry sky, came to the conclusion that the Earth is not a flat disk, but a sphere. Yes, it was the Pythagoreans who tracked the movements of celestial bodies, who began to form this bold idea based on the harmony and symmetry of all things. In the 4th century BC, Aristotle, one of the greatest minds of his time, provided several compelling proofs. When ships disappeared over the horizon, their masts vanished first, not the hulls, indicating the curvature of the Earth. He also noticed that the shadow of the planet on the moon during a lunar eclipse always had a circular shape, which served as an additional argument for the sphericity of the Earth. And now, the most captivating part. In the 2nd century BC, Eratosthenes, using simple tools, was able to quite accurately measure the circumference of the Earth, estimating it at 2,600 kilometers, based on the difference in the angles of sunlight falling on trees in different cities. This knowledge was not a secret to educated people in most ancient civilizations, such as Egypt, Greece, and India. They studied and recorded their observations. Naive myths about the flat Earth existed, but among scientists, astronomers, and mathematicians, there was a different reality. They drew maps depicting a spherical Earth and wondered what lay beyond it. How did the knowledge of the Earth's sphericity influence navigation? Do you know that it was precisely these discoveries that allowed sailors to set sail more confidently to distant lands, relying on the understanding of the curvature of the planet and its shape? This concept became the basis for future research, opening up new horizons. And this is not all. In ancient texts, it is mentioned that in ancient Rome, astronomers used a heliocentric system to explain the movement of planets, which already hints at complex knowledge about our planet and its place in the cosmos. What other amazing discoveries might await us in the depths of ancient libraries? For centuries, secret societies have existed, preserving knowledge accessible only to a select few. For instance, the Eleusinian Mysteries, held in ancient Greece, combined elements of religion and philosophy. Participants underwent complex initiation rituals, including purification rites and symbolic gestures that allowed them to become part of something greater. These mysteries promised participants understanding of life after death and secrets of fertility, making them particularly appealing to both common people and the elite. The Pythagorean Union, meanwhile, was not just a philosophical school, but a strict community. Its members took an oath of silence, adhering to strict rules to protect their knowledge of mathematics, harmony, and the cosmos. Imagine them gathering by torchlight, discussing secret numbers and proportions that, in their view, govern the world. Pythagoreans believed that everything in nature could be expressed through numbers, and their teachings on music and astronomy laid the foundation for future scientific discoveries. The cult of Mithras, which emerged in the Roman Empire, also had its rituals and initiations. These ceremonies, often held in dark caves, included the sacrifice of a bull, symbolizing death and rebirth. Like the Pythagoreans, followers of Mithras carefully guarded their knowledge, which encompassed not only religious aspects, but also philosophical reflections on the nature of humanity and its place in the world. The secret gatherings of these cults were filled with a mystical atmosphere, where every gesture held significance, and passwords were passed down through generations. The knowledge preserved in these societies ranged from practical applications, such as medicine and astronomy, to profound philosophical and mystical truths. This unbroken chain of traditions linked ancient civilizations with the present, allowing us to explore the roots of wisdom that continue to shape our understanding of the world. Hidden within these secret teachings are answers to questions that have troubled humanity for millennia. For example, did you know that many of these rituals still influence contemporary religious practices? Hidden deep within the Mexican jungles lies the mysterious ancient city of Mérida, where architecture speaks in multiple languages at once. Imagine grand temples in the Mayan style, with their characteristic stepped walls, standing alongside elegant columns reminiscent of Toltec art. This unique symphony of styles creates the feeling that Mérida was not just a city, but a true cultural exchange, where different civilizations shared knowledge and traditions. Moreover, some researchers suggest that this city served as a significant trade hub, connecting regions hundreds of kilometers apart, from central Mexico to the Caribbean coast. What is shocking, however, is that during excavations, artifacts were found indicating contacts with cultures from afar, such as South American tribes. Golden jewelry and ceramics with distinctive patterns suggest that Mérida was part of a vast network of exchange, where each item could tell its own story. Did you know that some of these artifacts date back to a time when civilization was just beginning in Europe? The dense green jungle surrounds the ancient walls, and the sounds of the tropical forest create an atmosphere as if time has stopped. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves, and it seems that the spirits of the past are watching our steps. Each stone in this city breathes history, and its mysteries remain unsolved. For instance, in a recent discovery, archaeologists found unique carved slabs depicting scenes that cannot be attributed to any known culture. What does this mean? Perhaps these are artifacts left by travelers from afar, seeking new lands for trade or even conquest. Each new discovery in Mérida raises more questions, and each one only intensifies the excitement of researchers. But what is even more shocking is that on some of these slabs, there are images that clearly do not fit local traditions. These unusual details only add to the intrigue of the city, which seems to have been a center not only of trade, but also of cultural exchange, where the fates of people from different corners of the world intertwined. Once, in the harbor of Rhodes, there stood a statue 33 meters tall, known as the Colossus of Rhodes, representing a brilliant symbol of power and artistry of its time. Imagine this bronze figure gleaming in the sun, reflecting bright rays as if it were a living being guarding the entrance to the harbor. The statue was built in 280 BCE and depicted the sun god Helios, who, according to legend, became the patron of the island after defeating the Macedonians. The bronze plates that made up the statue were placed on a massive stone base, giving the impression that the Colossus literally towered over the sea as ships approached the shore. What's even more intriguing? There are theories that the Colossus served not only as a statue, but also as a lighthouse, guiding sailors to safe waters. Sometimes, as ships approached Rhodes, one could hear the sound of waves crashing against the base of this giant figure, as if the statue itself protected its guests from the dangers of the sea. The image of the Colossus, shining against the clear sky, inspiring both fear and awe in all who approach the island, is truly breathtaking. The statue became a symbol not only of architectural prowess, but also of Rhodes's cultural identity, attracting travelers from all over the Mediterranean. Unfortunately, this grandeur did not last long. Around 226 BCE, the Colossus was destroyed by a powerful earthquake, leaving only memories of its greatness. But here's the most astonishing part. Even centuries after its destruction, legends about the Colossus continue to inspire artists and architects, and its image still evokes admiration. The death of Lord Carnarvon, who passed away just a few months after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, became a vivid example of what is known as the Curse of the Pharaohs. This shocking incident occurred in 1922, when Carnarvon, who funded the excavations, was hospitalized with an infection caused by an insect bite. The event unfolded against the backdrop of a chilling atmosphere in the musty air of ancient burial chambers, where the dim light of torches illuminated hieroglyphic warnings on the walls, as if warning against intrusion into sacred places. Just a few days after his death in London, rumors began to spread about a curse that was said to have claimed the lives of all who dared to disturb the peace of the pharaohs. Intriguingly, at the same time, many people connected to the excavations, including expedition members and even journalists, were dying. But what could have been behind this series of tragedies? Some researchers suggest that the cause could have been more mundane. Toxic mold spores that inhabited the tombs could have released harmful substances, causing serious illnesses. In the closed spaces of ancient tombs, where fresh air had not been present for a long time, an atmosphere filled with dangers developed, and even a slight breeze could bring spores that caused severe diseases. But that's not all. Some scientists point to psychosomatic effects, where fear of the curse and expectation of misfortune could actually affect the health of researchers. Imagine a group of archaeologists entering a tomb untouched for centuries, feeling growing unease as they see hieroglyphs that seem to whisper about a terrible fate for those who dare to interfere with the sacred. Such cases continue to stir the imagination, and even decades after the discovery of the tomb, people still discuss how inexplicable events could be connected to ancient curses. For example, in 1938, one of the archaeologists who also participated in the excavations died in a mysterious accident, and another researcher lost his life under mysterious circumstances 10 years later, adding fuel to the rumors. The energy of these places, imbued with history and mysteries, can give rise not only to fear, but also to real tragedies, making us ponder what secrets the walls of ancient tombs truly hide. The tombs hold not only treasures but also secrets that may be better left unsolved. On the scorching slopes of the Atacama Desert, where temperatures can reach 38 degrees Celsius, lies a colossal image that captivates the imagination: the Giant of Atacama. This anthropomorphic drawing, standing approximately 119 meters tall, was created using a simple yet ingenious method. Ancient people removed the top layer of soil, exposing dark stones to form the contours of the giant, which is now visible only from a height. The age of this geoglyph, according to estimates by scientists, is more than 2,000 years, making it one of the oldest and most mysterious artificial formations on the planet. But for what purpose was it created? There are several theories. Some believe it was an astronomical marker that helped ancient observers track the movements of stars. Others claim the image is linked to fertility deities meant to ensure plenty in these harsh conditions. Some researchers suggest it might have served as an indicator of water sources, which were critically important for survival in this arid region. When you look at the dark lines of the figure, starkly contrasting with the bright desert background, you can't help but feel that this ancient message, left for observers from above, conveys something significant. The hot air, gently stirred by a breeze, creates an atmosphere of mystery, and you can't help but ponder what secrets these lands hold. The Giant of Atacama, like a guardian of ancient knowledge, continues to raise questions that no scientist has yet answered. How could the people who created it possess such deep knowledge of stars and nature? Unexpectedly, as if out of nowhere, a culture emerged in Mesopotamia that stunned the world with its complexity and innovations. In the region of the 4th millennium BC, the Sumerians, as they called themselves black-headed, created not just settlements, but true city-states such as Ur, Uruk, and Lagash, which became centers of trade and culture. These cities had their own temples that towered over the horizon, and their architecture was such that some buildings still evoke admiration. The Sumerians invented cuneiform, a system of writing in which they inscribed signs on clay tablets using a stylus, and the sound of these tablets under the scribe's stylus resonated in the silence of the marshes between the Tigris and Euphrates. The clay tablets preserved not only economic records but also myths, laws, and astronomical observations. This leads to an intriguing point. The Sumerians possessed knowledge of planets that were invisible to the naked eye. For instance, they knew about the planet Neptune thousands of years before astronomers discovered it. How did they learn this? Perhaps the answer lies in their fascination with astronomy and observation of the sky, where they distinguished 5 planets visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. But this is not all. The Sumerians created complex irrigation systems that allowed them to cultivate fields and harvest crops even under the scorching sun. These systems were so effective that they sustained entire generations. However, it would be remiss to overlook the legend of the Anunnaki, whom the Sumerians believed brought them knowledge and culture. They thought these gods descended from the heavens and taught them agriculture, construction, and astronomy. It is strange that these myths and facts about the origin of the Sumerian civilization continue to spark debate among historians. It seems that this culture, like an ancient mysterious scroll, still holds many secrets waiting to be revealed. In Cappadocia, deep within the earth where sunlight never reaches, lie hidden underground cities that will astound any imagination. Some of them stretch to as many as 20 levels. Imagine a complex network of tunnels where cool air envelops you and the sound of footsteps echoes in a muffled silence. These cities, carved into soft volcanic tuff, contain ventilation shafts to provide fresh air and wells for water access. But there's more. You can find stone doors that served as protection from enemies and unwanted visitors. One of the most intriguing theories about their purpose is that these underground shelters were used as hiding places from pursuers, ensuring safety for local residents during conflicts. However, some researchers suggest that these underground cities may have served other purposes as well: wine storage and production, and religious rituals. Picture the flickering torches on the walls creating a mysterious atmosphere, and the aroma of wine stored in underground barrels filling the air. Sometimes, these underground cities of Cappadocia were even connected by underground tunnels, allowing people to move between them without going to the surface, and creating an entire subterranean civilization. These structures are awe-inspiring in their scale and complexity, as some cities could accommodate up to 20,000 people. Did you know that in these labyrinthine tunnels, sanctuaries for religious ceremonies were found, and the walls were adorned with ancient symbols? Each step through these tunnels is a step into history, where every place holds its secrets. And even today, questions remain. How did the residents create such complex structures, and how did they use them in practice? The Great Sphinx of Giza, like a colossal guardian, has been observing the world for more than 4,000 years. Its dimensions are astonishing. It is 73 meters long and 20 meters high. This monument is carved from a single block of limestone, and its weathered surface tells the story of the time that has passed since its creation. Many researchers believe that the Sphinx was built during the reign of the pharaohs of the 4th dynasty, but the exact dates remain uncertain. What if it indeed served as a guardian of the necropolis, protecting the rest of the dead? Or perhaps it was a symbol of the solar deity, embodying the power and majesty of the pharaohs. Some scientists even propose that it played a role as an astronomical marker, pointing to significant celestial events. But there's more. Beneath the Sphinx's paws may lie hidden chambers that have remained inaccessible for centuries. Ancient texts mention the dream of Tutmosis, in which a pharaoh, finding himself in the embrace of this enigmatic monument, received a revelation about his future. Imagine the shadows cast by the Sphinx, the interplay of light and darkness creating mysterious lines on its face at different times of the day, sometimes revealing its expression, sometimes leaving only a hint of its grandeur. Each crack in the stone seems to whisper about the thousands of years of history it has witnessed, and the secrets that may still be hidden within its depths. How many such secrets are still waiting to be discovered beneath its powerful paws? Imagine a stone capable of opening doors to a world known to us only through myths and legends. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799, became the key to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs. This stele of black basalt, weighing around 700 kilograms and 80 centimeters tall, bears 3 identical texts, one in ancient Greek, another in Demotic, and the third in hieroglyphic. The stone's appearance is striking. Its rough, dark, and shiny surface contrasts with the meticulously carved signs that seem to dance on its somber mass. How was this complex writing system deciphered? Jean-François Champollion, a French linguist and archaeologist, spent years studying the texts, and his breakthrough was a true scientific event. He noticed that the names of kings and gods repeated in each text, which became the basis for further analysis. Comparing the texts allowed him to match signs with sounds, leading to the decipherment of hieroglyphs. In 1822, he was able to read a phrase that forever changed our understanding of ancient Egypt. Thanks to this breakthrough, historians gained access to thousands of years of information, from religious texts to administrative documents. Each new discovery, based on deciphered hieroglyphs, was like a magical key opening doors to a world previously accessible to only a few. For example, it became known about rituals related to the afterlife, as well as the complex social structure of ancient Egyptian society. But the most astonishing thing is that even today, more than 200 years after its discovery, scientists continue to find new meanings and interpretations based on texts that once seemed incomprehensible. For instance, recent research shows that some hieroglyphs could have multiple meanings depending on the context, adding new layers to our understanding of history. With each new discovery, the Rosetta Stone continues to inspire generations of researchers, opening up a world of mysteries from ancient times. In the Library of Alexandria, there were approximately 700,000 scrolls, making it one of the greatest repositories of knowledge in the ancient world. Imagine the rustling of papyrus scrolls, the scent of parchment, the soft light of oil lamps illuminating ancient texts that could reveal sciences, philosophy, and literature. Each ship arriving at the port was subjected to strict inspection. Copies of all texts on board were taken to enrich the treasury of knowledge. This was not just an archive, but a true factory of ideas, where scholars, researchers, and writers from around the world gathered. But how did this marvel disappear? There are several versions of the library's demise, and each is chilling in its suddenness. One of the most well-known stories links the destruction to a fire during Julius Caesar's siege of Alexandria. The flames consumed not only the military ships, but also the scrolls stored in nearby buildings, destroying invaluable knowledge. However, this is not the only explanation. There are accounts that after the city was conquered by the Caliph Omar in the 7th century, the library was destroyed by his order. If it contains everything necessary for understanding the Quran, then it is not needed, and if not, then it is merely a distraction. But we should not forget the gradual decline. Over time, the library could have simply fallen victim to negligence and inattention, with its scrolls gathering dust under the weight of centuries. Consider how much knowledge was lost forever, how many ideas remained untold. This library could have revealed many aspects of ancient civilizations' lives, but now we can only speculate about what it contained. And the most shocking thing? Historians estimate that the library housed works by such great thinkers as Aristotle and Plato, but we will never know what exactly they wrote. In the heart of Mexico lies a city that will astound you with its magnitude and mysteries, Teotihuacan. Imagine an ancient civilization that created a layout that amazes with its symmetry and strictness. The Avenue of the Dead stretches over more than a kilometer, like a giant artery connecting the majestic pyramids of the Sun and the Moon. The Pyramid of the Sun reaches a height of 62 meters, making it one of the largest in the world and attracting history enthusiasts from all corners of the planet. But what is even more astonishing? The creators of this city remain a mystery to archaeologists. They are not the Aztecs, as many believe, but an unknown civilization whose roots are lost in the mists of time. Do you know what is even more shocking? The reasons for the decline of this magnificent city remain unknown. Walking along the Avenue of the Dead, you can feel how your steps echo off the ancient walls, and the wind whispers its secrets, raising dust from the stones that have seen many generations. The Pyramid of the Moon, though smaller, still impresses with its grandeur. Its height is 43 meters, and from its summit you can see the entire city, as well as the surrounding hills and forests that were once full of life. Climbing the steps of these monumental structures, you can imagine how rituals were once held here, how people gathered to honor their gods under the sun's rays reflected on the smooth stone slabs. Moreover, scientists have established that each of the pyramids has precise astronomical alignments, indicating the high level of knowledge of the ancient builders. And here is where things get truly amazing. On the territory of Teotihuacan, the remains of more than 100 residential complexes were found, suggesting that this was not just a religious center, but a whole city with a developed infrastructure and a population that could have reached 200,000 people. Let's think about how they built such complex structures without modern technology. This place continues to amaze and captivate, opening new mysteries about its creators and their culture. Each step on this historical path fills you with a sense of grandeur and mystery, which remain unsolved. While civilizations seem to develop in isolation, their architectural solutions and mythological motifs are astonishingly similar. The Egyptian pyramids, standing at an impressive height of 146 meters, bear striking parallels with Mesoamerican structures like the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, which reaches 60 meters in height. But this is not all. China also boasts pyramids, albeit less well known, that are equally awe-inspiring in their form and construction. What unites these distant cultures? In many places, one can find solar symbols indicating the importance of the sun in the lives of these peoples. For instance, in Egypt, the solar disk of Ra is depicted on the walls of temples, while in Mesoamerica, the deity Quetzalcoatl is also associated with sun worship. There are numerous flood myths that echo each other, from the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh to the biblical story of Noah. These tales of catastrophes that claimed the lives of millions seem almost identical. Some researchers suggest that these similarities may be the result of diffusionism, where ideas and symbols spread through contact between peoples. Others propose the existence of an ancient mother civilization that could have been the source of many knowledge and technologies. For example, the underground water supply systems found in Inca cities have parallels with similar systems in ancient Egypt. While ziggurats were built in Mesopotamia, serving both as temples and astronomical observatories, in Mesoamerica, analogous structures were developed for studying the night sky. These structures, created at the same time, seem to be more than just coincidental, but rather evidence that ancient peoples sought answers to the same questions posed by nature. It is intriguing that technologies such as the use of cement and plaster, enabling the construction of durable structures, appear simultaneously across the globe. Similarly, in different cultures, methods of agriculture emerge, such as terraces in the Andean mountains and aqueducts in ancient Rome. How could these peoples exchange knowledge, separated by vast distances? The answers to these questions may lie in archaeological discoveries yet to be made. Imagine ancient cities where the water supply system was as complex as those of modern megacities. Roman aqueducts, stretching for tens of kilometers, transported water from mountains to plains, providing city dwellers with access to clean water. One of the most impressive aqueducts, the Claudius Aqueduct, was about 60 kilometers long and included more than 300 arches, majestically towering above the ground. It was thanks to these engineering marvels that Romans could drink fresh water daily and use public baths, which became true centers of social life. But what is even more astonishing? In Mohenjo-Daro, one of the oldest cities in India, there was a drainage system that was incredibly well thought out. Brick-lined channels ensured the removal of wastewater, and each house had its own toilet with water supply. Water flowed through clay pipes, which are still admired by archaeologists today, having been in use for over 4,000 years. Now picture the Cretan water supply system, made of terracotta pipes, which still bear the traces of ancient civilizations. Water flowed through these pipes, and in the public toilets of the Minoans, there was a flush system, a true revolution for that time. The sound of water flowing in the aqueducts created a melody that accompanied daily life, while the coolness of the underground cisterns provided relief from the heat. The echo in the vaulted rooms of Roman baths resonated when people gathered to relax and discuss the latest news, immersing themselves in an atmosphere of coziness and cleanliness, contrasting with the dusty streets of ancient cities. In Rome, public baths were also an essential part of the city infrastructure, where people not only bathed, but also discussed business, generating ideas and strengthening connections. Can you imagine how conversations mixed with the sound of water and steam rising from hot springs on the backdrop of noisy streets and bustling markets? All of this is a result of the incredible skill of ancient engineers who understood the importance of cleanliness and comfort for their fellow citizens. What is even more astonishing, The water that flowed through these systems sometimes traveled more than 100 kilometers before reaching its destination, preserving the lives and health of entire generations. Have you ever wondered where the Cro-Magnons came from and how they developed their extraordinary art? Their appearance in the archaeological record seems like a sudden burst. Modern-looking humans capable of creating realistic cave paintings, sculptures, and even musical instruments, as if they had appeared out of nowhere. Imagine the flickering light of primitive lamps reflecting off the damp walls of caves where these masterpieces were created. The red and black pigments applied with remarkable precision give the impression that the artists are speaking to us across millennia. How did they achieve such mastery? Their tools, such as barbed needles, harpoons, and atlatls, spear throwers up to 1.5 meters long, allowed them to hunt large game with incredible efficiency. But where did these skills come from? None of their predecessors left any significant traces, and this remains a mystery that continues to puzzle scientists. The Cro-Magnons used complex technologies to create tools that were far more advanced than those of the Neanderthals. But how did they learn this? Their cave paintings depict not only animals, but also hunting scenes, indicating a deep understanding of the natural world and perhaps even spiritual beliefs. How did they create such complex compositions with figures that almost look like photographs? And what is most astonishing? In some places, musical instruments like flutes made of bone have been found, capable of producing sounds that could rival modern melodies. These discoveries open up a fascinating world where the Cro-Magnons not only survived, but also created cultural artifacts that continue to astound us today. How did they acquire these skills in such a short time? The answers to these questions are shrouded in mystery, and each new discovery only deepens our intrigue. For example, in the cave of Chauvet in France, researchers found animal images so detailed that they seem to come to life on the walls. Over 200 figures, each with its unique style and technique, reveal a world full of life, movement, and emotion. How did the Cro-Magnons achieve such expressiveness? At a depth of about 8 meters off the coast of the Bahamas, a mysterious structure known as the Bimini Road is hidden. Imagine a submerged world where sunlight penetrates the water's depth, playing on the surface, and swaying seaweed gently embraces correctly placed rectangular blocks. These stones, laid out in a row, resemble a cobblestone road or even a wall stretching into the distance. What could this be? Some researchers believe it to be the remnants of an ancient civilization, possibly Atlantis, as often described in myths and legends. The structure, stretching 30 meters, is composed of large blocks that seem too perfect for a random geological formation. However, what is truly astonishing is that other scientists insist it is merely the result of natural weathering and geological processes that occurred over thousands of years. And then there is Edgar Cayce, the famous psychic, who predicted that exactly in this area the remains of Atlantis would be found. His prophecy, made in the early 20th century, drew the attention of many adventurers and researchers eager to unravel this mystery. Not only does the structure spark debate, but the name Bimini itself has become synonymous with maritime enigmas. Locals tell of strange phenomena and inexplicable events associated with this underwater anomaly. As one delves into this world of underwater mysteries, a sense of anticipation grows. What else lies hidden beneath the surface? What message did the ancient builders leave for us? Research continues, and each new discovery only adds to the enigma. In the 21st century, a group of underwater archaeologists found near the road fragments of pottery and stone tools, fueling discussions about a possible connection to a lost civilization. But this is just the beginning. Future technological advances promise to allow for a more detailed study of this area. Each new research project brings with it hope for the unraveling of the mystery that seems to reach deep into the very roots of human history. And when researchers descend into the transparent waters, bathed in soft light, they realize these are not just stones, they are traces that could tell a story we never imagined. Each Aztec calendar was not merely a timekeeping system, but a remarkable harmony of astronomy and religion that played a crucial role in society's life. The main types of Aztec calendars were the ritual Tonalpohualli and the solar Xiuhpohualli, which together created a unique cycle lasting 52 years. The Tonal Pohwali consisted of 260 days and was linked to rituals and spiritual practices, while the Shu Pohwali, with a duration of 365 days, determined agricultural cycles and temporal frameworks for public affairs. However, what is interesting is that these two calendars did not simply coexist. They intertwined, creating something more. When both cycles coincided, the Aztecs held large ceremonies that symbolized the end of one cycle and the beginning of another, fearing that the world might end. The precision of their stellar observations was astonishing. The Aztecs could predict solar and lunar eclipses, which filled them with awe, as they understood that each astronomical phenomenon had its significance in their religious system. Throughout the year, they counted the days, each with its own deity and corresponding ritual, equating each second with divine presence. At the end of the 50-year cycle, when the time for the renewal of the fire came, the Aztecs gathered in temples where priests lit a new sacred fire, symbolizing a new cycle of life. This was a time of fear and hope. They believed that if the fire did not light, the end of the world would come. The ceremonies were filled with rhythmic dances and sacrifices, emphasizing the importance of each element of life in their culture. Each of these days was not just a date, but a part of a great cosmic order where celestial bodies and human destinies intertwined. And it was at this time, when rituals reached their peak, that every action was imbued with fear and reverence for the powerful forces that governed their lives. Notably, the Aztecs not only considered solar cycles, but were also among the first in the world to use the concept of a 0 year, which helped them more accurately orient themselves in the flow of time. Stonehenge, a mysterious complex that continues to puzzle scientists and enthusiasts of mysteries. These massive stone blocks, weighing up to 50 tons each, are arranged to create a perfect astronomical calendar. Imagine the sun's rays penetrating between the boulders on the day of the summer solstice, creating a unique spectacle that could have been used for tracking time millions of years ago. But how were these enormous stones moved? Research indicates that they were transported from distances up to 240 kilometers, which could have taken years, if not decades, using primitive technologies. The sounds of wind passing between the stones create an atmosphere of mystery, as if the boulders themselves hold ancient secrets. Some scientists believe that Stonehenge could have been an observatory, allowing ancient people to observe stars and astronomical phenomena, while others claim it was a ritual center where sacrifices and festivals were held. Yet another theory suggests it was a place of healing, where people gathered in search of help and cure for diseases. The various hypotheses about the purpose of this place raise many questions, and each one opens new avenues for study. But did you know that Stonehenge could also have been connected to other megalithic structures in Britain, forming a network of ancient sanctuaries? These connections between monuments raise numerous questions about how ancient people could interact and communicate. With each new discovery, it becomes increasingly clear that Stonehenge is not just stones, but an entire era preserved in stone. And the question remains, what were the true intentions of those who built this mysterious complex? In the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata, one can encounter descriptions that evoke genuine chills. Radiant weapons, capable of emitting light, brighter than 1,000 suns. This is not just a metaphor. The text speaks of the consequences of their use, when food became poisoned, and the survivors lost their hair and nails, as if they had experienced a nuclear strike. Imagine how these lines, filled with awe and trembling, make us ponder how ancient peoples could possess knowledge that seems incredible to us today. Now, let us turn to the Vedic texts, where flying machines called vimanas are mentioned. The descriptions of these machines are so detailed that it seems they could take to the skies even in our time. These are not just myths. They contain hints of technologies that could change our understanding of ancient history and science. But that's not all. Do you know that in ancient China there existed mirrors that could transmit images over long distances? These are not simple reflective surfaces, but true marvels of engineering, about which we are only beginning to grasp. In these texts, the archaic language contrasts with the modern sound of the described technologies, creating a sense that humanity once possessed knowledge that we have lost. How could this be? How could ancient civilizations foresee technologies that we are only beginning to master in the 21st century? Questions multiply and mysteries deepen. Remarkably, these ancient lines contain secrets that remain unsolved, and each new reading fills us with awe and admiration for the possibilities that our ancestors might have opened up. In these texts lie not only stories, but also potential keys to understanding our past and future, and each time we read them, we plunge into a world where reality and myth intertwine in a single fabric of human history. Imagine a world where the splendor of palaces and exquisite art coexist with advanced water supply and sewage systems. The Minoan civilization, which flourished on the island of Crete, was a true masterpiece of human creation, where every house was adorned with frescoes depicting scenes of life, and where maritime trade thrived, connecting them with other cultures of the Mediterranean. Suddenly, all this splendor was threatened with extinction. A volcanic eruption on the island of Santorini, which occurred around 1600 BCE, struck the Minoans with a roar that seemed to shake the very heavens. A tsunami, resulting from the catastrophe, washed away coastal cities, leaving only ruins where prosperity once stood. Ash and smoke darkened the sun, turning a bright day into a gloomy night, and this was just the beginning of the end. What were the consequences for the inhabitants of Crete? Scholars suggest that the climatic changes caused by the eruption disrupted agriculture, leading to food shortages and social unrest. But this is not the only theory. Research indicates that the invasion of the Mycenaeans, an aggressive people from the mainland, also played a crucial role in the fall of the Minoan civilization. Internal conflicts and power struggles only exacerbated the situation, and soon the once prosperous cities were in chaos as climate conditions worsened and resources dwindled. The Minoans, with their advanced knowledge and skills, were unable to cope with the impending catastrophe. As a result, the magnificent palaces where grand feasts once took place became mere shadows of the past, swallowed by time and nature. Some frescoes have survived to this day, telling stories of a life filled with vibrant colors and harmony that suddenly came to an end. But do you know that there are still disputes about what exactly was the decisive factor in their disappearance? Many researchers continue to seek answers, and each newly discovered artifact brings us closer to solving this ancient riddle. In the highlands of Bolivia, at the ancient complex of Tiwanaku, stands the Sun Gate, which is impressive in its size. Approximately 3 meters in height and 4 in width, it is made of andesite, weighing up to 10 tons. The central frieze depicts a mysterious god with rays, his face adorned with symbols that researchers are still trying to decipher. Do you know that some scientists link these gates to a solar calendar? They may have served as markers for the equinoxes and solstices, indicating important moments in the astronomical cycle of ancient peoples. The gates have precise orientation, adding to their astronomical significance. Their axis is aligned with the point of sunrise on the winter solstice. But that's not all. Surrounding the central figure are mysterious symbols that raise many questions. What do they mean? Why are there so many? What is their purpose? Imagine the interplay of light and shadow on the ancient carved surfaces in the thin air of the highlands, creating a sense of sacred space filled with mysteries and enigmas. Each step on this site fills you with the feeling of ancient power that seems to still linger in the air. And now, the strangest part. Some researchers claim that the Sun Gate was not just an architectural structure, but part of a complex system connected to rituals and observations of celestial bodies. How could such massive structures be built in the highlands, where resources were limited? The secrets of this ancient monument await discovery, and with each new study, we edge closer to unraveling its true meaning. In the caves of Liguria, on the northern coast of Italy, mysterious rock paintings are hidden, sparking heated debates among scientists and researchers. These images, estimated to be over 30,000 years old, depict strange figures that resemble modern-day submarines. Imagine the coolness of the caves, where the air is filled with a light scent of moisture, and the soft light allows you to see these ancient artifacts, shrouded in mystery. Some of the figures have streamlined shapes and distinct details that can be interpreted as elements of submarines. While some researchers suggest that this is evidence of ancient technologies, others propose more mundane explanations. Perhaps these are stylized images of boats or marine animals. But wait, there's more. There's a theory that these paintings could be part of ritual practices related to water spirits. What's even more astonishing? These images were found in hard-to-reach places where light barely penetrates, giving the impression that they were deliberately hidden from prying eyes. In one of the caves, a drawing was discovered that, according to some, depicts a creature with a long body and fins, reminiscent of mythical sea monsters. What drives scientists to delve into fantasies about ancient civilizations that might have possessed technologies beyond their time? Each new look at these enigmatic figures opens up new horizons for discussions and theories, from the cosmic to the utterly mundane. As research continues, scientists keep uncovering new details that make us wonder, what else do these ancient arts conceal? The riddle of the Sphinx continues to stir the minds of scientists and history enthusiasts, as some theories claim that its age may exceed conventional limits. Geologists studying the erosion marks on the Sphinx's body assert that the nature of the damage could be a result of prolonged rains that may have occurred in the region over 10,000 years ago. To grasp the significance of this claim, imagine that this monument, silently standing on the sands of time, could have witnessed rains that today seem incredible for this arid land. But that's not all. The astronomical alignment of the Sphinx with the constellation Leo, according to some research, suggests a connection to celestial phenomena that occurred around 5,000 years before our era. Picture the night sky over ancient Egypt when the Sphinx was built, and how the constellation Leo was a symbol of power and might for those who lived then. This paints a captivating scene, the majestic face of the Sphinx, framed by light and shadow, carved from stone that seems to hold the breath of ancient times. Each line on its face, each scar from time, tells a story, as if it were a mute witness to the evolution of humanity. These facts make us ponder whether we have not yet discovered the full truth about the origin of the Sphinx and its true role in history. In the shadow of its eyes lies a mystery that could reshape our understanding of entire millennia. And if you think this is already astonishing, you haven't even begun to imagine the other enigmas that await their revelation. Imagine holding an ancient clay vessel, dating back nearly 250 years before our era, which may conceal one of the most mysterious technologies of its time. This is not just ordinary pottery. Inside it lies a copper cylinder surrounded by an iron rod, potentially the oldest battery, the Baghdad battery. Research indicates that when filled with an electrolyte, such as vinegar or lemon juice, it can generate a voltage of 1/2 volt. Have you ever wondered how the ancients could have utilized this technology? One of the most popular theories suggests that it was used for galvanization, allowing for the creation of protective coatings on surfaces, as well as for meditation and rituals, where electrical discharges could be perceived as divine signs. Now picture how heavy and cold this vessel appears, with its dull metal and rust, and consider the sensation of holding it, feeling its weight and historical significance. A slight tingling, perhaps, is what the ancients might have felt when their fingers touched the working device, instilling both fear and awe. But this is not all. Researchers still have not reached a consensus on how exactly this device was used. Some propose that it could have been used for treating illnesses with electrical impulses, while others believe it was simply a ritualistic device meant to awe the faithful. It is amusing to note that some even consider the possibility that the Baghdad battery could be linked to ancient miracles described in texts. The question remains open. What else might be hidden in the depths of history, waiting to be discovered? Consider this. How could ancient people, lacking modern technologies, create complex structures for observing celestial bodies? The Gössek Circle in Germany, dating back approximately 4,900 years before our era, is an extraordinary example of such engineering prowess. This Neolithic structure consists of concentric circles of earthen banks, surrounded by wooden posts and palisades, which create precisely oriented passages for observing the sunrise and sunset on the most important days of the year. Such structures served not only as astronomical observatories, but also as centers for ritual practices, where people gathered in the pre-dawn silence, awaiting the sun's disk as it slowly rose above the horizon. The air was filled with tension. Each moment of anticipation was filled with hope and awe as the light began to pierce through the openings created by the hands of ancient builders. Recall Stonehenge in England, where gigantic stones are aligned in a perfect line, indicating the exact moments of the solstices and equinoxes. Or Newgrange in Ireland, where light passing through a narrow passage illuminates the inner chamber on the winter solstice day, creating a magical atmosphere. No less impressive are the observatories of the Maya, who used their astronomical knowledge to predict the change of seasons and plan agricultural work. These ancient structures became not just architectural landmarks, but symbols of humanity's connection to the cosmos. Each time the sun rose over the horizon, observers felt part of a vast cosmic cycle, realizing that they were not alone in this vast world. Imagine how, several thousand years ago, people gathered in such places, their hearts pounding in anticipation of the magical moment when light shattered the darkness, bringing new hopes and beginnings. This sense of unity with nature, with the cycles of time, undoubtedly left a deep imprint on the culture and beliefs of ancient peoples. And what is most intriguing? These observatories were not only scientific instruments, but also places where myths and legends about the sun and stars were born, which we continue to tell and retell today. Queen Nefertiti, whose image adorned the walls of temples and tombs, seemed to embody the golden age of ancient Egypt. Yet what is most intriguing is that after 12 years of her husband Pharaoh Akhenaten's rule, all mention of her vanished, as if she had been erased from history. What makes this situation even more intriguing is that Nefertiti was not just the wife of a pharaoh. She played a pivotal role in the religious revolution when Akhenaten introduced the cult of the sun god Aten, replacing traditional Egyptian deities. In depictions of Nefertiti, her graceful neck and facial features, immortalized on the famous bust, not only showcase her physical beauty, but also her influence on society of her time. But where did she go? There are several theories, each opening new avenues for thought. Some suggest she may have died from an epidemic that struck many people at the time. Others propose more intriguing scenarios: exile, name change, and co-regency, or even sole rule under the name Smenkhkare. But that's not all. In their search for her tomb, archaeologists have discovered a mysterious mummy known as the Younger Lady, who might very well be Nefertiti. This mummy, found in a royal tomb, exhibits signs of high social status. Research indicates that her age at death was around 30 years. Imagine how her reign might have unfolded if she had remained in power. How would this have altered the course of history? Researchers continue to search for her tomb, and new technologies such as tomography are aiding in unraveling the mystery that has endured for thousands of years. Each step in these searches raises new questions. If Nefertiti did rule under another name, what does this mean for our understanding of her role in history? And what is even more captivating? There are suggestions that her influence could have continued even after she disappeared from the records. Legends about the lost Atlantis have been stirring minds for thousands of years. The roar of the sea waves seems to whisper about ancient secrets hidden at the bottom of the ocean. The philosopher Plato first described this mythical island state in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, asserting that it existed 9,000 years before his time and was larger than Libya and Asia combined. Imagine. According to his words, Atlantis was a powerful civilization with magnificent temples and vast fields. But due to a catastrophe caused by divine wrath, it was swallowed by the sea. And since the 19th century, scientists and treasure seekers have embarked on expeditions to unravel the mystery of its location. One of the most popular hypotheses claims that Atlantis was located in the Mediterranean Sea, near the island of Santorini, where archaeologists discovered traces of an ancient civilization completely destroyed by a volcanic eruption in the 30s of the last century. But that's not all. Some researchers believe that the lost land could have been in the Atlantic Ocean, near the Azores Islands, where underwater structures resemble artificial ruins. And what's even more astonishing? There are theories linking Atlantis to the Caribbean Sea, where underwater caves hold the secrets of ancient peoples, and even to Antarctica, which some researchers consider the place where this mythical land once stood before it was covered in ice. With each new discovery, each new hypothesis, the mystery of Atlantis deepens. How so? Why does this story continue to captivate the minds of scientists and adventurers for centuries? Perhaps it is because the ocean holds many secrets yet to be revealed. And among the waves carrying the salty smell of the sea, the feeling of the vastness of the water space becomes more and more apparent, as if nature itself hints that the secrets of Atlantis are still waiting for their time. And what if one day we find evidence of its existence? Then we will only be left with the question of how our understanding of ancient civilizations will change. Once upon a time, in the valley of the Indus River, there were cities that could have served as models for modern megacities. Imagine streets paved with neat bricks, houses designed with meticulous attention to ventilation and lighting, and complex sewage systems that ensured cleanliness and comfort. In Mohenjo-Daro, there stood a citadel, a fortress of its time, with storage facilities and administrative buildings, and nearby was the Great Bath, the size of a modern swimming pool, which served not only for ritual ablutions, but also for social gatherings, marveling with its water supply and drainage system that worked flawlessly. But suddenly, in this thriving society, changes began that no one could predict. Changes in the course of rivers and climate fluctuations led to the Indus River no longer being able to provide the necessary amount of water for the fields. As a result, crop yields fell, and reserves were depleted. And here begins the truly bizarre. The Aryan tribes, who invaded these lands, could have been the final straw that led to the fall of this civilization. How could this have happened? How could the noise of bustling streets filled with the scent of spices and fresh produce suddenly give way to silence and desolation? They say that now, in the once living city, only wild animals roam the streets, and workshops that were once full of life are now abandoned. What is even more shocking? Some researchers suggest that epidemics could have played a key role in the disappearance of this remarkable culture. In Mohenjo-Daro, remains of food were found, as well as traces of diseases that could have wiped out entire families. And now, where once there was vibrant life, there are only ruins, and the mystery of their disappearance raises questions to which scientists still have no answers. Each discovered artifact, each study adds new layers to this mystery, and perhaps one day we will learn what really happened to this outstanding civilization. The image of flying chariots associated with deities appears in the texts of many cultures, evoking genuine interest and shock. For example, in the Vedas, the sacred texts of ancient Indians, there are mentions of vimanas, flying machines with extraordinary capabilities. These devices are described as radiant, with powerful engines that leave trails of light and thunder. The Bible also contains similar references: chariots of fire that carry the prophet Elijah to heaven, accompanied by a storm of wind and lightning. No less intriguing are the Sumerian texts, where gods like Enki and Enlil appear on celestial chariots that move through the sky's blue expanse and gleam with blinding light. But what lies behind these descriptions? Erich von Däniken, who popularized the theory of ancient astronauts, argues that such evidence could be proof of contact with extraterrestrial beings who used their technologies to interact with humans. He points to the striking similarity of descriptions from different cultures, as if they were inspired by a common source. However, opponents of this theory maintain that such images are merely metaphorical constructs reflecting natural phenomena and human fears. In their view, the chariots are symbols of power, might, and divine intervention in the human world. Moreover, these descriptions are always accompanied by vivid sensory details: wild roars shattering the silence, whistles piercing the air, and the sensation of a whirlwind sweeping everything in its path. If you think this is already exciting enough, wait until you hear even more astonishing stories about how these divine chariots could have changed the course of history. Imagine a time before the advent of modern anesthetics, when surgeons performed complex operations using primitive tools. In the Neolithic era, trepanation was practiced, a process involving the drilling of holes in the skull to relieve pressure on the brain or treat injuries. This was done with sharp stones or copper instruments, and remarkably, many patients survived. The signs of healing on discovered skulls indicate that in some cases, surgical interventions were quite successful. Picture the scent of herbs wafting through the air, used as anesthetics to calm the patient before a painful procedure. In such conditions, one could hear the piercing sound of a drill cutting into bone, along with the patient's groan, mixed with hope for recovery. But this is just the beginning. In Pompeii, archaeologists discovered surgical instruments such as scalpels and forceps, which are astonishingly sophisticated for their time. These finds demonstrate that ancient physicians not only treated wounds, but also performed operations that we now consider routine. Egyptian medical papyri contain recipes and treatment methods for over 100 different diseases, including injuries and infectious diseases. They describe the use of balms and ointments containing exotic herbs and oils, offering patients hope for a swift recovery. Ayurvedic practices in India, based on the use of natural components, also laid the foundation for healing methods still used today. Remember how in ancient times, physicians used sounds, the rustling of leaves mixed with herbs, and the soft crackling of fire as they prepared their mixtures. Each of these aspects highlights how advanced medical practices were, even in those distant times. And what is even more remarkable? They understood that healing required not only physical, but also spiritual efforts, making their approach truly unique. It is astonishing that ancient structures were designed with such precision that they are synchronized with astronomical events. The Temple of Abu Simbel, built at the command of Pharaoh Ramses II, is illuminated twice a year, on his birthday and the day of his coronation. Each year, on these dates, sunlight penetrates the sanctuary, illuminating the statues of the gods and creating an atmosphere of divine presence. Imagine the light slowly filling the space, playing on the stone walls and evoking awe in the spectators gathered in anticipation of this wonder. The sounds of awestruck whispers and sighs merge into a single chorus as the light touches the faces of the statues, as if the pharaoh himself is looking at his worshippers. But this is just one of the magical aspects of ancient structures. The Pyramid of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza creates a breathtaking illusion during the spring and autumn equinoxes. Shadows falling from the stairs form a snake slithering down the pyramid. This spectacle is mesmerizing, as if Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, descends from the heavens to bless the people. Every year, thousands gather to witness this magical moment when light and shadow unite. And of course, we cannot forget Stonehenge, which is perfectly aligned with the sunrise on the summer solstice. In this special moment, when sunlight passes through the stones, there is a sense that time stands still. The murmurs of the crowd, the admiring glances, and then the silence as everyone realizes they are in a place where ancient people performed their rituals, connecting with the cosmos. These structures are not just architectural marvels. They are true astronomical clocks that have continued to function for millennia, linking people with the heavens. And the most astonishing thing? These monuments continue to reveal their secrets, opening new horizons for research. Did you know that the ancient Egyptians had a whole book written to help souls on their journey to the afterlife? The Book of the Dead is a collection of spells and instructions that was placed in tombs with the deceased to help them navigate the dangers of Duat, the gloomy realm of the dead. This book contains not only prayers, but also detailed descriptions of the trials a soul must face to reach the fields of Alu, the Egyptian paradise where eternal happiness and abundance reign. One of the most significant moments in the afterlife was the weighing of the heart before Osiris, the god of the underworld. The heart of the deceased was placed on scales where it was weighed against the feather of Maat, a symbol of truth and justice. If the heart was heavier than the feather, the soul was destined to be devoured by the demon Ammit. However, if the soul successfully passed this trial, it would enjoy eternal life in the paradisiacal fields of Alu, where it could enjoy eternal fruits and tranquility. It is important to note that achieving this state required meticulous mummification of the body to preserve it for the afterlife. The process of mummification took up to 70 days and involved the removal of internal organs and the treatment of the body with special resins and oils to keep it in perfect condition. Tombs were not only filled with mummified bodies, but also with numerous items, from jewelry to food, so that the soul could use them in the afterlife. The deceased also carried special amulets to protect them from evil spirits. The solemnity of the funeral rituals was created by the flickering of torches in dark burial chambers and the continuous chanting of priests who conducted the ceremonies, believing that each word brought the soul closer to eternal life. The ancient Egyptians genuinely believed that death was merely a transition to another reality, and their preparations for this transition were as important as their life on earth. And you know what is particularly intriguing? The preserved texts show that the Book of the Dead had versions that were adapted according to the status of the deceased, from a simple person to a pharaoh, highlighting the diversity in approaches to the afterlife. Did you know that something extraordinary was found in Colombia? Archaeologists discovered golden artifacts that, at first glance, resemble modern airplanes, but no one knows how they were created. These small golden figurines from the Quimbaya culture have triangular wings, a vertical stabilizer, and a shape similar to the fuselage of modern aircraft. Imagine them gleaming under the light of museum lamps, reflecting the brilliance of gold in the dark halls where the treasures of ancient civilizations are gathered. Their elegance and precise lines testify to the skill of jewelers who created these objects using primitive technologies, yet with remarkable accuracy that raises questions. When researchers built large-scale models based on these figurines, they found that they possessed aerodynamic stability. But how could this have happened in an era when such technologies did not exist? Some scientists suggest that this is evidence of ancient flying machines, while others believe that these golden airplanes are simply stylized images of birds or insects, symbolizing humanity's connection to nature. Such interpretations make these artifacts even more mysterious. While some see them as evidence of advanced technologies, others note that their form could simply be the result of artistic inspiration. This creates a contrast between primitive production methods and futuristic design that seems to be ahead of its time. What do you think is really hidden behind these golden figurines? And here's the most interesting part. When studying these artifacts, scientists notice that some of them have details that seem too complex for their time, raising even more questions about what the ancient masters could have known. Did you know that the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, often referred to as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, remain a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists? According to legend, these gardens were a marvel of nature and architecture, but their existence is still a matter of dispute. Supposedly, they consisted of terraces supported by massive columns that rose above the ground, creating a spectacle as if the sky had merged with the earth. How could they have been so magnificent? Imagine the scent of exotic plants filling the air as you pass by, and the soothing sound of water flowing through channels in the hot climate of Mesopotamia. Archaeologists believe that a complex irrigation system was used to lift water from the Euphrates to a height of over 30 meters to water the plants on the terraces. This system was an engineering marvel of its time, allowing the creation of green oases in the middle of a barren desert. What is truly astonishing is that despite numerous references to the gardens in ancient texts and art, no archaeologist has yet found definitive remains of these gardens. This has sparked heated debates about whether the Hanging Gardens were a reality or merely a product of the imagination of ancient writers. Some researchers even suggest that they might not have been in Babylon, but in another location, such as Assyria. Now imagine the contrast. Lush greenery against the backdrop of golden sands and gray stones, delicate flowers and trees entwining the columns to create shade on a hot day. What is even more shocking is that there are versions that claim the Hanging Gardens were not built by Semiramis, but by her husband, King Nebuchadnezzar II, adding yet another layer of mystery to this historical enigma. Each new piece of evidence only fuels the fascination with this extraordinary story of the Hanging Gardens, which may or may not have been real. On the map created by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, the coastline of Antarctica is depicted, which had been hidden under ice for millennia. This map, dated 1513, is notable not only for its beauty, but also for its extraordinary accuracy, which raises questions about how the admiral could have depicted such details. Piri Reis claimed to have used ancient sources, including maps created before the modern world knew of Antarctica's existence. The paradox is that while humanity considered this land inaccessible, his map clearly shows mountain ranges and even fjords that remain hidden under thick layers of ice to this day. How could he know this? Subsequent research has shown that some coastal areas indeed match modern data obtained through satellite imagery. This creates an air of mystery, as how could a person living in the era of sailing ships create such an accurate image? Research shows that Piri Reis's maps are not the only ones raising questions. There are also other ancient maps, such as the Fra Mauro map created in 1440, which also contains details that were unknown at the time. This map depicts coastlines that were not known to Europeans and even includes places like Madagascar and India. Scientists still cannot explain how cartographers of that time could have had such knowledge. Some theories suggest lost civilizations or ancient seafaring, but none of these theories fully explain the accuracy of these images. And now, the most astonishing fact. In 1989, an expedition confirmed that under the ice cover of Antarctica, there may be landscapes that were once free of ice, and this discovery challenges all our notions of Earth's geographical history. Inside the Knossos Palace lie secrets that continue to inspire awe and wonder. Imagine a multi-level structure with over 1,000 rooms connected by intricate corridors where one can easily get lost. Each turn might lead to a hall adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting scenes from the lives of the Minoans. These paintings seem to come to life under the sunlight filtering through light shafts. But this is just the beginning. The engineering systems used to create the palace are astonishing in their perfection. Water was supplied through complex aqueducts, and a ventilation system ensured fresh air in remote rooms. The labyrinth, associated with the myth of the Minotaur, is actually a reflection of architectural genius, a symbol of control over chaos and wild nature. Scholars believe that the cult of the bull was an integral part of Minoan culture, confirmed by numerous ritualistic images found in the palace. In the throne room, which occupied a central place in this architectural marvel, stood a luxurious throne carved from a single block of stone, which, according to scholars, symbolized power and divinity. The palace itself seemed alive with sounds, from the rustle of footsteps on stone floors to the laughter of children playing in the courtyards, where the scent of the sea breeze could be felt. Storage rooms, where food and materials were kept, had a clear system of accounting recorded in Linear A script, demonstrating a high degree of organization and management. Here, among thousands of everyday items and works of art, one could find everything from wine amphoras to exquisite jewelry. And the most intriguing part? These corridors, where the Minoans lived, still hold their secrets, and only a few know that some of them have revealed traces of ancient rituals connected to bulls. Imagine that our ancestors did not just look at the stars, but actually encountered their inhabitants. The theory of paleocontact suggests that ancient civilizations could have interacted with extraterrestrial beings, and evidence of this can be found in the most unexpected places. For instance, cave paintings that resemble modern astronaut images have been discovered in various parts of the world, from the deserts of South America to the caves of Europe. One of the most striking pieces of evidence is the depiction of Vimanas in the Vedic texts of India, which describe flying machines capable of moving through the air and even space. These machines were more than just myths. Some researchers claim that they indicate contact with highly advanced civilizations. And what about the Maya? They left us figures that strongly resemble astronauts, and their frescoes depict objects similar in shape to modern flying saucers. What's even more astonishing is that medieval frescoes in Europe also contain images that many interpret as UFOs, raising many questions about what really happened in those times. Proponents of the paleocontact theory point to the sudden appearance of complex technologies in ancient civilizations, which seems too remarkable to be the result of ordinary evolution. However, the scientific community is not quick to draw conclusions. Many experts believe that these evidence can be explained by human imagination and cultural symbols, rather than real encounters with extraterrestrials. How did ancient people perceive the appearance of beings with advanced technologies? It must have caused both awe and fear, as such encounters could mean both a miracle and a threat. And here arises the question, what if all these myths and legends actually have a real basis? It is likely that many mysteries still await discovery, and each new finding could change our understanding of the past. For example, in the 20th century, archaeologists discovered artifacts that do not fit into the usual historical framework in terms of shape and materials. This only adds to the existing riddles.